Insurgents.
The problem is that I think we've talked to international community. Let's find out the funding. When they started surrendering, by the time we left, so as we speak, we have over 120,000 that have surrendered. Most of them, when you find them, they are coming with hard currencies. How did they get them? How are they funded? How did they get the training? How did they get the equipment?
What is your suspicion?
Well, maybe an international conspiracy. You don't know. Who knows? How are they be able to sustain themselves for 15 years? That is one question I think everybody should ask himself.
All right, make we pause some there, make we go into this analysis because you go listen to the full video of the kind zobo and lie where Musa they blow, for Al Jazeera News. The reality be say, when these people then host them for all these shows, they try as much as possible to hide the incessant buying in Biafran land. Now, when you listen to this video to the end, this is not a question of why did you use this topic, why did you use this title, for the video. I want you to listen to this video to the end, this interview, from Musa to the end, and you will understand the reason why we titled, this interview that particular title. We're not going to hear the kind of lie where Musa lie. And the most important thing for this video and things will be say you must take note of is the fact that Musa no mention anything about Biafra, IPOB, Biafra Liberation Army, Biafran Defense Forces, or the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa Njoko. No forget, say, that them they come out, they claim saying that the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa Njoko be the problem within they get for Biafran land. But the reality be say, listening to this video in this kind of interview that he's talking about the security challenges in the Nigerian government, in Nigeria generally, and if your major problem is Biafra, you could have stated out clearly. But let me tell you what they are doing. And this is why they will keep on calling the BH, the bandits, in the northern parts of the country as their major problem of terrorism. This is the same, this is the same Musa who has been ranting all over the social media, claiming that he has evidences against the incessant buying of Simon Ekpa Njoko and how he has caused a lot of death in Biafran land. Have you forgotten his interview? I still have most of his interviews here, and I can post as many as possible where he called out the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. The same Musa now, get mouth, for Al Jazeera, which he knows that the world is listening to him, to call out Simon Ekpa. In fact, I'm even surprised that the interviewer didn't even mention the issue of the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. Why am I talking about Simon Ekpa? These people have been deceiving the whole world and deceiving Finland, submitting all kind of documents, submitting all kind of videos. You were there when Musa came out and said that they've submitted documents and write-ups, for the extradition of the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa. Oh, this same Musa could not come out to state clearly and categorically that the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa is his major problem in this kind of press conference, in this kind of interview. My people, I want to ask you a question. If you're given an opportunity, I'm just saying now as a Biafran, you're given an opportunity, to mention the major problem you're having or the problem you feel that is bringing you down to the world, for the world to listen to, the first thing you're going to mention is your biggest problem, is the biggest challenges you're facing. And let me tell you, Musa have just clarified to the world that the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa is not his problem. His major problem is the BH that is causing insecurity. That means he knows that every activities of the Biafran Liberation Army is actually their right because they are fighting for their freedom. Or I want to give a benefit of doubt. Or maybe he is scared of speaking out, issues pertaining to the Biafran, struggle, because it will bring up more questions. As you can hear, if I let me not go deeper into this talk, I want you to watch the video yourself and give me your own assertion on this issue. Do not forget, this video must go viral. The world needs to hear those things that Musa continue to hide. The world needs to know the kind of issues that we are facing in Biafran land. Make sure you share this video to as many groups and platforms as possible. Enjoy the remaining part of the interview.
Talk to Al Jazeera and welcome also to Doha. The Nigerian military has been collectively fighting both Boko Haram and the West African branch of ISIL for collectively now 15 years, in which time something like 15 million people have been affected by the insurgency and by the counterinsurgency. The government has claimed several times that the group has been, quote, technically defeated, yet they continue to operate, yet they continue to regroup. Do you see this as a failure of the politicians or a failure of the military, of which you are the head?
Not at all. I think it just shows how complicated asymmetric warfare is. It's not a one-off thing, unlike conventional warfare. So how do you measure success? You measure success when you start getting life back, IDPs returning back to camps, schools are reopening, markets are working, people can work. I think that's success for us. So it's work in progress. We're not where we are, but we're heading there, and we're sure that we're on the right track.
How would you explain the current state of the counterinsurgency if you were to give us a situation report of where we are in terms of the direction of the fighting so far? Yeah,
well, since inception, it's been in and out because of the challenges of asymmetric warfare. You know, the armed forces of Nigeria has always been a conventional armed forces. So fighting asymmetric came in as a surprise, as all armies. But we have woken up to the responsibilities, ensuring that asymmetric warfare needs all of society approach. It's not only military. It is having to do with the kinetic and the non-kinetic, working hand in hand to ensure that we succeed. And that's where we're going. So where we are now, we're a lot better than we used to be. Last year when we took over, this year, a lot of improvement. A lot of work still going on, and we'll continue to do that.
You say you've woken up to the challenges, but it's taken 15 years to wake up. Why so long?
Like I said, asymmetric warfare is the difficult kind of warfare. I think our advice to any country, don't allow it to start. It's difficult to eradicate because you're dealing with people that have a sense of belonging, believing what they're doing is right, ideology. You don't see it on their foreheads. You don't know who they are. And they're just like normal human beings. And because you have to respect human rights, you have to take up the laws of war, it makes it a bit more difficult because identifying who the enemy is unlike the conventional type. You see him, he's wearing a kind of, these ones are not. And they are your own people from within. We've been in Liberia, we've been in Sierra Leone, we've fought other countries, we've restored peace. And so it's always a surprise that we're still having it, but it shows you the difficulty. Most times when we have issues when to strike, they're embedded with civilians. So we have to call off the strike.
Well, I want to ask you about that because you say what's made this challenging is that you have to stick to the laws of war. I want to question you on some of the ways in which this counterinsurgency has been fought, including accusations made by Human Rights Watch that says the Nigerian Air Force carried out what they describe as erroneous airstrikes on targets in Kaduna State, that's in the north of Nigeria, this September, killing 24 people, injuring many more. It follows what they say is an apparent catalogue of mishaps that have killed hundreds of civilians since 2017, including a strike on a religious celebration in Kaduna State that killed 85. Firstly, how do you explain these allegations of what appear, at least to Human Rights Watch, to be devastating failures on behalf of the Air Force?
Well, I know that we all understand that we're human beings. We're bound to make mistakes, and they're just professional mistakes. Some things are beyond your control. We don't control the weather. We don't control the atmosphere. So even when you have it right, mistakes do come in. And when it happens, we take responsibilities and we make amends. fighting a warfare for over 15 years and making how many human lives are lost. We're really very sorry about that. But then the war goes on and we have to stop because if you look at it, we're not the only ones. Not blaming anyone, but any country that is fighting a prolonged war, there are bound to be mistakes, but they are never deliberate, and we'll take ownership and we'll take correction. So that's what we're doing.
What about justice, accountability, compensation?
All correct. We have standing court martials for people who have committed offences, and then we do, and then we make amends for the communities. Like the Tinubu community that had issues, the government stepped in. A lot of incentives have been put in place, measures have been put in place. We have also corrected enhanced our training. We have suspended the commanders that were on ground. We've taken them responsibility for what they have done. And so the work is ongoing.
Are all operational protocols being fulfilled
fully
accurately?
Nigerian Armed Forces is a professional armed forces. We can attest to that everywhere we went to. We've done so well in other countries. We're doing the same thing in Nigeria.
You've described what sounds almost like something resembling a purge of inadequate elements within the Nigerian armed forces. Has a purge gone? Has a purge been underway in recent years?
Not purge per se. What we do is that whoever commits an offense faces the law. He's been prosecuted. He will be investigated. If found culpable, he faces the law. We have standing court martials in all our divisions. You do well, you are rewarded, and then you do badly, you face the law.
So you're losing people, but what about recruitment? Are people attracted to the Nigerian armed forces? Are you able to fill battalions and ranks of soldiers?
Yes, we're doing. Presently, as we speak, I was at Depot, Nigerian Army, where we train recruits. We just graduated about 5,800. For the officers' corps at the Nigerian Defense Academy, we just graduated almost 800 officers, young officers, back into the system. So it's ongoing. And yearly, we have people going on retirement when it's their time to leave. So the armed forces is working well. We continue. Where we have a lot of challenges is because we don't produce the equipment that we use. And sometimes it's been a bit difficult getting equipment, even when we have the money.
We'll talk about procurement in a minute, but I'm curious about something that you said a little bit earlier in our interview, that amongst many of the challenges are the fact that the enemy is embedded within communities.
Correct.
And they look like us, which leads to all sorts of complications when it comes to successfully mounting this counterinsurgency. Yeah. But according to some sources, abuses have been carried out by the military. Let me draw attention to the long list of allegations that have overshadowed your battle with Boko Haram and ISIL in West Africa. Many of those allegations were raised by Amnesty International that say at least 10,000 people, including children, have died in military detention, many of them innocent civilians who were fleeing Boko Haram, hoping for safety and security in the hands of the military, but instead experience alleged brutality at the hands of your forces. Did your military abuse Boko Haram survivors?
Not at all. It's not in our character. We don't do such. It's not in our DNA to do such a thing. And, you know, I've had this allegation severally. Just a reminder, I was a theater commander in the Northeast. I left there January 2023. There was this allegation by Reuters that on abortions. Initially, they said 13,000. Later on, they said 10,000. And I requested, then the Chief of Defense Staff, General Irabo, I requested that we invite Human Rights Committee to set up an independent investigating committee to investigate that allegation, because we're tired of these allegations. I mean, they come in, and the funny thing is that they always come in when we are succeeding. So the question is, why? What is the intent? So he got to human rights, an investigative team was commissioned. I testified, so many other officers. They were given unfettered freedom to go around. They investigated for 1 year, 6 months. I think just last month, they released the report. And guess what? Nothing of such, because we told them that whatever allegation anybody is saying about abortion, it's not us. Maybe it's another country they're thinking about, not Nigeria. And so they came out. But the funny thing is that when they were reading the reports out, these other organizations refused to even show up.
Just to remind our viewers, you're talking about the allegations
for the first abortions, yes,
by the Reuters news.
That was about 3 weeks ago. And then suddenly last week, Amnesty came out with 10,000. So I don't know what the joy is about 10,000 issues.
Okay.
It is not in our character, we don't do such. We will never, ever do such a thing.
Understood. So you would allow Al Jazeera journalists, international investigators into, for instance, the Giwa barracks in the northeastern city of Maiduguri that has been allegedly holding children as young as 5 in hot, cramped conditions, not to mention allegations of beating, the sexual abuse of women and girls, where innocent civilians were meant to be in your care, treated this way? I mean, that's the big question Amnesty International raises. And they're prepared, sorry to interrupt, they're prepared to take you to the International Court of Justice to defend their views. Would you testify there?
We're ready to go. We're not scared of anybody. And I can tell you, they have their own intent on why they are doing that. I think they just want to demoralize my troops. They want us to look bad, because I just can't understand why anybody will wake up and say that we're killing people when we're actually not doing the same. And guess what? The Giwa barracks we were talking about, we have all the humanitarian agencies working there. You have the UN working, local and international organizations are working. Are we saying they are complicit? There is nothing we're doing in the back. So if they don't say it, which means Amnesty International is equal, and Amnesty is equally there, so which means they're equally accusing all these other organizations of being complicit.
So just to be clear, you would be prepared to go to the ICJ in The Hague and answer these accusations?
We're not scared of anything, because we don't have anything of such.
I want to address allegations also of corruption in the defence.
What a wonderful question, the anchor of this great platform. First and foremost, I want to say, Simon Ekpa has come out to say, or has outlined countless times, that he said that the Nigerian government cannot win Biafra with a barrel of gold for the second time. Now when he said that, see, Nigerian government cannot win Biafra with a barrel of gold, it means that nobody needs to die for them to exit Nigeria. Now, Ojogun fought Biafra in a different dimension. Now, nnamdikanu did it via his own dimension. So Ekpa is taking it globally. And now, we've seen world body recognize Biafra. We've seen the UN and then some other global body have come out to endorse the Biafra struggle. So kudos to him, it is a plus. Some persons have come out to say that Simon Ekpa should be discredited, the likes of and that of the southeastern governors. But my question is that you said Simon Ekpa should not be taken serious. Then who should be taken serious? The government who is not willing to protect our people? Is it the people who have refused to speak up when the Igbo man has been marginalized in the country? Is it the same governors who have become a tools in the hands of their Fulani master? So for you to even have a character like Simon Ekpa and nnamdikanu to have come out to say enough is enough, that we are tired of this contraption called one Nigerians. It shows that these people have this mindset that, see, they can no longer be the slave. So for him to have even gone as far as to hire lobbyists that will speak on behalf of Biafra in the world, in the UN summit, to me, it's a plus, and that alone, the voice of Biafrans will be heard globally, and the voice of an Igbo man is also being heard globally. Now, let me take it back the line. When Southern Sudan and South Sudan wanted parted ways, nobody killed each other. Nobody go through the route of violence. It was done amicably. So Simon Ekpa is doing it amicably for him to convince world leaders that this thing is possible. And why the government of the day, the present government of Nigeria, are not seeing it that way. Thank you. You can also to the government, to the Nigerian government, be worried about this. Why would they be worried? The same people have sent assassins to kill Simon Ekpa. Now only he has escaped. So see, one thing about it is that the government of the day, they are panicking. There's panic. You know what it is now? So a particular tribe, or a major tribe, to exit your country. You know how an Igbo man is. You know the investment of an Igbo man is in the country. Now, imagine in Nigeria without an Igbo man. Let's just imagine that. I mean, dominance. That means the outside man would now dominate virtually every government parastatals in Nigeria. So now the reason why the Igbo man is still believe that's Nigeria is because the Igbo man is still in the contraption called Nigeria. But eventually, if the Igbo man leaves, my brother, the Yoruba man will know the true meaning of Nigeria, and then we now know who owns Nigeria. Just like what Angwabula said, he said they are not scared of the Igbos parting, exiting Nigerians. That was what he said. He said they are not scared. Indirectly, that means the other tribe would not have sense of belonging in the country. And we know it. We know it. I know it too. And every man now has the spirit of dominance. You cannot dominate him. If a Fulani man has the spirit of dominance, for you to dominate him, it will take ages. In terms of population, you cannot dominate them. So one thing is that Ojukwu have foreseen this whole thing. That was why he championed this biafra struggle. And now, gradually, it is now becoming a reality in this contraction called Nigeria. Now, there are some Igbo men are even tired of the system called Nigeria. Just because they feel their brother is still in president. Now, my brother, I can bet you, come 2027, the Yorubas will be championing the Republic more than the Igbo man. I can bet you that. That I'm very certain of. Yes, we will championing because it is certain when their president, when their brother is being kicked away from the presidency, already there is a plot, and which he himself cannot escape. The president himself knows that there is a plot, and then the big shots in the north are forming alliance. You know it. RFI, a powerful influence in the north, is not in the league. Sorry, is not in good terms with the president. And now nobody can take that factor. What RFI did. I made President Tinubu emerge as the president via his own influence, and then we have also the likes of Angulai, which is the chairman of the Northern Order Forum. He said post that election that the Northern Order Forum supported Tinubu, but from 2027 Tinubu will not get their support. So what does that mean? Now if the average Northern person is not giving the vote, now where will they get the vote? The shots come by 2027. The same thing the Yorubas have been tagged the Igbos for. Now they will be the mastermind of it, because I can bet you by 2027 Yoruba will stop. And that's the slogan that will continue to trend, is that we are tired of the country, we want to follow the suit of the Igbo man and exit the country. And then the Igbo man now will not take them, tag them for being unserious, because now that the Igbo man is championing for the exit, we are saying the Igbo man is not serious. There are claims that the Igbo man is not serious, but I can bet you when the system will not catch up with you, then you will know why the Igbo man has been championing to exit. Thank you for always coming.